Hey, this is an unboxing of a 256 gigabyte Steam Deck from quarter two. I just got mine in today. It is on the west coast of the United States. Go ahead and open it up here. So right away here on the left, it looks like we got a power connector. I've seen these online from the Steam Deck, and it looks like you're not allowed to plug it in on both sides. It's just stationary, plugged into the wall, and then you can plug it into your deck or not. Let me grab the scissors here. But I'm sure a lot of people that have Android phones or certain devices have plenty of USB-C plugs, so shouldn't be an issue having more. Yeah, so that's all that's in this one. So yeah, like I said, it's fixed in the back, so you can't unplug this from the back of the power adapter, but you have a pretty long USB-C cable here, and I'm not exactly sure how many watts or amps it provides, but this one's going to be good enough for the deck, I'm sure, to plug it in while you're playing and keep it charging. And then right here, it looks like Valve included a little booklet on the Steam Deck. But we're just going to skip that for now and go right to the product itself. Games are going places. I'm excited to be able to take my whole Steam library on the go. Obviously, not every game is fully supported, but in time, it'll get better, and there's already ways to use different versions of Proton to get games that are not technically fully working on there, working better, like the Lego Skywalker Saga. Looks like you can just use a different version of Proton and get that working on there. So it looks like you can just rip it off right here, but let's just see if I can just slide this sleeve right off. Yeah, that sleeve just comes right off there, so no reason to tear that if you don't want to. Got a nice Steam Deck logo there, and then this is the Valve anti-tamper seal that I've seen a lot of people on Reddit. They don't want to damage this in any way, but I guess I'm going to be not caring about that as much. Just clip that right off there. It's pretty nice, just a little Valve thing. People like Valve merchandise just because it's so rare to get physical Valve hardware. And the case has a little bit of a smell to it, not much. I have a Switch case rather that smells kind of similar. I'm sure the smell will go away pretty fast, but on the back here is actually a pretty good indent. The indent is bigger than I thought it would be in the back. Might be hard to make it on the video there, but let me grab a battery bank really quick here. Just remembered my girlfriend's actually away right now. She has my battery bank, but here's a, a Galaxy S21 Ultra, and you can see that kind of fits back there. It's not ideal, but you could even strap a phone in back there, I guess. Not that you'd want to do that. Definitely more likely to put something like a pair of wireless earbuds, maybe. Just slip that in right back there. And that stays in there pretty good. I don't know if I would want to keep that in there, but if it's in your backpack or something, that's a pretty good spot. Obviously, something that's probably more reasonable is something like the included power adapter that you can just slip right into the back, and that works perfect. Not going to go anywhere. So that's a pretty interesting design to have that little slot in the back. And obviously, they probably have room for this in the back because the Steam Deck itself, I've got a Switch here with a Skull & Co grip. It's kind of like this, you know, where it has the handles that are actually sticking out, and then the back is flatter. So that makes sense why the case would be designed in such a way that it has pockets like like that. So let's open the thing up and pray the Steam Deck doesn't have any physical defects. So it also has a nice carrying handle. And there it is. So let me... Oh, it's got this nice little white tag here. And if you lift that up, the Steam Deck itself comes right out. And right off the bat, I gotta say, that feels really nice in the hands. Way more comfortable than the Switch feels right in your hands with no case on it. Yeah, that feels... Your hands wrap around it really comfortably. I'm about 5'10", 5'11", and my hands, I think, are pretty average size for a guy that height. And it feels great. The thumbsticks, the heads of the thumbsticks are pretty flat. I don't know if you can exactly make that out here. My lighting's not the best, but there's actually not a lot of texture on the top of those thumbsticks. So there's good texture on the sides of it, but I could see your thumbs sliding off the top of these thumbsticks as opposed to something like, let me grab an Xbox One X controller here. Here's a Xbox Series X controller, and I love these Xbox controllers. They have great texture on the thumb grips, on the top of them and on the sides, and your thumb's kind of sitting there and it grips it really nicely. This is definitely, for the thumbstick, a lot flatter. There's no real dome in there for your thumb to sit in, and it's pretty slick. So I can actually see why people are putting rubber grippers on them. I see people who get the Skull & Co. ones to put on here, and that makes more sense now. Those thumbsticks are nicer than the Joy-Con thumbsticks, I would have to say. Look around the back. Here's what I'm talking about, where it sits nicely in your hand, and that's why you can see in the case here. Maybe not with my lighting, but it's recessed where these hand grips are, and then flush on the back, so it actually allows the case to be shaped like that. And here's this white tag here, and it's just a piece of cloth that lets you lift your Steam Deck out easily. Alright, so the power button's right up top. Let me turn this bad boy on. Alright, so it just took a little while to turn the Steam Deck on. I don't think I actually need to leave it plugged in here, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the USB-C cable. The D-pad's really nice. It has a slick finish to it. So while I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, I have to say that I got a glossy screen one here because it's a 256 gig. And this screen does pick up oils off your hands pretty easily. I already have noticed that so far. So it is a touch screen. You know, if you're going to be navigating around it, it could be nice to poke around and do everything on there. Obviously, you can see that if I aim it up like that, you can see my light really easily. So just things to keep in mind. I don't know if there's any great matte screen protectors out there right now that could help reduce the amount of glare on the screen. It's going to look really nice if you're in a dark location, but if you go outside or something, maybe I'll try to shoot some footage on my patio or something to give you guys an idea what it might look like with a glossy screen outdoors or in not ideal locations. So looks like Steam's just finishing up some updates here, and then we can get started. The touchpads are interesting. I'm going to get used to this layout. I'd never used a Steam controller before, so it definitely is going to take some getting used to for just this whole layout. My triggers both feel great. When you tug on the trigger, there's a little bit of haptic feedback that happens. Not a ton. I can feel a little bit more on the right side, but pretty similar. The left and right bumper are both nice and clicky. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I'll get used to it pretty fast. I prefer clicky bumpers to mushy bumpers. If you know about like these controllers, these Xbox ones, these have nice clicky bumpers too. I think the original like version of the Xbox One controller had really bad squishy bumpers. I hate that. So if you're playing games that require like really nice blocking, like Sekiro or something, it's nice to have those tactile buttons to know that you are hitting it instead of questioning with a mushy button when it's actually getting triggered. So I'll just give this some time to update and then we'll be good to go. I guess one thing that we can do during the update phase here is kind of give like a size comparison between a Switch and a Steam Deck. So a lot of people have done these size comparisons before. I'm going to move my case out of the way just so we have some more room to play around here with them. But I got my Switch in the Skull & Co. case here. I also have, I think it's called the Satisfy grip, that it's not symmetrical grip like this one. It's more of an offset, kind of like where you would be holding your Switch like this. This one's more symmetrical where you hold it naturally like this. And I do like stick layout like on the Xbox controller, but here you do kind of have to curl your thumb down to touch it nicely there, which with the Satisfy one, it kind of goes out in an asymmetrical way where your thumb is placed more naturally here. So personally for me, handheld, my hands get so cramped if I use a Switch without a case on it, just naked like this, because there's nothing in the back to hold on to. It's not ergonomic to do this. So for me, it's a must to put a Switch in a case such as the Skull & Co. one here. We've modified ours slightly for our Skull & Co. cases because originally they have a cage around this part, but we just cut it off and it's much more comfortable this way. You can actually hit the bumpers and triggers without having some piece of plastic in your way. But compared to the Steam Deck, you can see that the screen of the Steam Deck, it's a 16:10 aspect ratio, where the Switch is just a 16:9. Both 720p screens, but the bezels included on the Switch screen here look like they're just slightly larger than the actual screen area of the Steam Deck, where if you include the actual bezels of the Steam Deck, it's as wide as the main unit of the Switch itself. So if I take off these Joy-Cons, you can see that's a pretty nice size comparison where it lines up good with the actual edges of the entire bezel for the Steam Deck. I just set this nice and softly on the top there. You can see that basically covers the entire surface area of the Steam Deck screen. And then if you were to actually put Joy-Cons on, it's much smaller. But the Switch has a nice weight to it for the size of it. It doesn't give a ton of hand fatigue when you're using a nice grip like this. With the Steam Deck, finally getting a boot up here. It feels nice for your hands wrap around the back more so with the actual ergonomic parts, much like a regular controller for a PS5 or Xbox or whatever you're using. Let me sign into Steam here. Alright, so I've spent a couple hours with the Steam Deck now, and I've got about 21 games installed at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and end the unboxing and impressions video here, but I'm going to be playing a lot of these games and putting up gameplay footage on this channel, so subscribe if you want to see more. And if you want to see specific games, let me know in the comments below. I've got a big Steam library, so I intend to play a lot of the games that are on there, such as the BioShock series, all the Dark Souls games, Elden Ring. Check out things like RimWorld, because that even has a specific Steam Deck update, just to give people a good idea about certain games that maybe others haven't covered yet. And when you get your Steam Deck, you'll have an idea of how games will run on there. So go ahead and give the video a like, and I appreciate your guys' time. See ya.